See, where's my parish? How am I going to survive? Father Hannaford would tell them, you just say the true Mass. You stay away from that new Mass which causes souls to go to hell. And I know not one single priest who stayed with the true Mass. One single priest who was kicked out of his diocese, kicked out of his religious order, thrown in the streets. Not one has starved. Not one has been abandoned. God will provide. He will always provide. Because the Heavenly Father knows we have need of these things. But He first demands. We have the example of the saints. They left all and they received more. They left all and they received infinitely more. They were ready to leave all their friends, and now they've been dead for 1,000 years, and we still speak to them as our friends. We still, every time we lose something, we go to a man who had the vow of poverty and didn't know anything. His name is St. Anthony. You lose your car keys, you talk to St. Anthony. He doesn't know what car keys are. We have a strong devotion when we lose something. When we find it, we don't know what Anthony is. Maybe some kind of new disease or something. When we lose something, we know Anthony. When we find something, we forget Anthony. One of the priests and the pastors used to say, remember, we always ask Anthony for help. Nobody ever says thanks. But St. Anthony finds things for us. St. Anthony is our friend. And St. Peter is with us. And the apostles are with us. And they're our friends. And yet for a short time they were despised. For a short time they suffered. As Judas Maccabeus said on the last day of his life, another great saint of our times who died 150 years before Christ, he said, yes, we are only a few, and we shall certainly be defeated today if we fight the enemy. And we can run away from the battlefield and then die in our beds in old age. Or we can fight today and die today in glory and never be forgotten forever. For to the end of the world they will speak glory of our deeds. You want to go home, go home. As for me, I'm fighting the enemy. And Judas, with a few hundred soldiers, fought 30 or 40,000 of his enemies. And they fought from the morning all the way till night. And only in the night did they die. And they did all die. And their glory is still recorded in the sacred scripture in the book of Maccabees. And it's reported down the last 2,000 years, 2,200 years since they died. We want glory. We want to live forever. And we're in a fight. One of the great challenges and struggles of our particular time, we're not brave like our ancestors. We don't have the spirit of them. The spirit of Protestantism has entered deep into our bloods, and we're too attached to things. We're too attached to what people think. And remember, if the devil is more powerful, and he is, then our Lord, recognizing that, will actually demand less. We used to have to give up our life in order to be pleasing to God. Now it's enough if we give up that third shot on a latte. I normally get a 3-shot latte from Starbucks. I'll get a 2-shot latte and offer up the third shot. I normally have 3 of desserts. I'll have 2 and offer it up. And in our times it's more difficult to do simple things. And everything is counted. Our Lord said, even a glass of water, cool water given in my name, shall not go without its reward. And that was true at all times. But in our times in which coldness is all around us, we're in the time of the gospel that our Lord said, towards the end of times, what's going to happen? Though sin will abound, because charity will grow cold. Because of the multitude of sins, charity will grow cold. We must have charity. We must maintain the faith. We must profess it boldly and strongly. We must remain in the fight. And we must remember also, as St. Gregory said, just a few days ago in the gospel, that we must preach the faith. We must profess it before men. And as St. Augustine points out about the good thief, consider the good thief. He confessed Christ publicly. And he's the example to all of us. Because the good thief, he lived a life of crime. He was an evil man. He did not know his catechism very well at all. And he was there at the cross, cursing Christ in that morning. And then when the time of the death came, our Lord said, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. And the other thief, Gesmas, said, save yourself, save us, and he cursed him. And then what did Dismas do before he was forgiven? What did Dismas do before Christ said to him, this day thou shalt be with me in paradise? He had to publicly, before Caiaphas, publicly before the apostles that were silent in the crowd, publicly before the holy women, publicly before the soldiers, he turned to Gesmas and he said, we suffer the just reward of our crimes. The first truth that we should always say the beginning of truth. We know that God is the truth. But I am a sinner. And if I'm going to be connected to the truth, my first connection is to recognize the fact that I am a sinner. And whatever suffering I receive in my life, whatever difficulties come my way, is the just reward for my crimes. And therefore, Dismas says, the great saint, we suffer the just reward for our crimes. The first truth. But this man has done no wrong. And he says in the whole world, this man has done no wrong. What do you know? You're a crook. What do you know? You're a murderer. What do you know? You're a thief. But it doesn't matter that he's a murderer. It doesn't matter that he's a thief. He speaks the truth. And we oftentimes in our time say, oh, I'm just a simple man. I don't have to speak the truth. I'm just a simple man. I don't need to spread the faith. I remember in my old parishes a few examples of some of our beloved traditional Catholics of the 80s and 90s. In the 90s, they were out getting drunk. And they were drinking and partying. You know, normal traditional thing to do, so it's not that untraditional. So they were drinking, and another guy came in and drinking with them and goes, you're a modernist, you're a speaking modernist, blah, blah, blah. And then they were fighting, beating each other up because he was a modernist. And we had guys convert from getting drunk. It's not in the list of ways to convert people. But they still had the faith in their blood even when they were drunk. Now we never speak of Christ no matter what. But even when they were drunk, they spoke of Christ. Even when they were drunk, they had the truth. And they said, no, we must hold the truth. And many guys come to Mass in the morning with headaches. Their first time coming to Mass. And they come to Mass with a headache and they find Christ. And so God agreed to remember, when did we find Christ ourselves? It was at the moment that we were crucifying our Lord. When did we visit Him? How different are we than Dismas? Dismas was at that cross because he was wicked. If he was an average man, he would have never been at the crucifixion. But he was wicked. And because he was wicked and he was justly punished, he happened to be there on the day of the cross, on the day that our Lord Jesus Christ died. And what did he do? He professed Christ publicly. And this is what we must do. That's why it's important to profess the name of our Lord Jesus Christ in our times. We have to say, Pope Francis, you are doing wrong before God. You are the Holy Father. He is the Holy Father, even though he's not much of a father and he's not holy. But he's the Holy Father. So, nonetheless, you are the Holy Father. But you are using your power against God. He's using his power. He believes in his authority. He knows how to crush. He knows how to be cruel. He knows how to destroy. He knows that aspect of authority. He doesn't know the good part, but he sure knows that part. And he uses it well, crushing anyone who is a friend of God, or who says he might become a friend of God. For Francis of the Immaculate, convents are trying to wear their habits and still follow the old rule, and he crushes anyone who gets in the way of his wicked modernism. But he must be resisted to the face. We pray for his conversion, and if he converts, he will become a great saint. And God can give him the grace to convert, and he might be the one that converts. He might be. But until that day, we say, you're wrong. We resist him to the face. We have to resist the local bishops. The bishops who are not following the law of God. We can say, no, you should not be celebrating that new Mass. You should not be teaching these new things. And now in Catholic tradition, we have to say, I'm sorry, Bishop Follet, who just bought a house in Rome just last week. The general house is going to move from Switzerland to Rome. He doesn't realize he probably won't be living there. Because once he seals the betrayal of the society with Rome, and he gets his little apartment in that house just down the street from Pope Francis, they will say, oh, by the way, Bishop Follet, thank you for all you've done. You're fired. And they will throw him out, like they did with Father Bizik. They will throw him out. And he'll get to go say Mass in Oklahoma City with Father Bizik. Father Bizik is an old German priest, the superior of the Fraternity of St. Peter, the founder of the Fraternity of St. Peter, who says Mass on a side altar in a seminary in America. He can say Mass on the one side altar, where the seminarians despise him and pay no attention to him. And Bishop Follet can say Mass on the other side altar. And they will find new traitors to take their place. And they will find new ones to go, like they did with Father Bizik. They threw him out. Rome threw him out, and they put in Father De Valier. He used to be my spiritual director for a while. They threw in Father De Valier. And then, now they'll do the same thing with Bishop Flay. He's built a nice house now. He's bought the nice house right in Rome, so that he can be living next to his friend, Pope Francis, and his friend, Bishop Pazzo, and his friend, the various cardinals that he has befriended. And when he signs the paper fully, he's already given over the faith, they'll forget that he was a friend. And as they did all the others, so they will do unto him. And then we have the situation of the bishops that have stood up. Well, Bishop Williamson and the other Bishop Four, and Bishop Thomas Aquinas, what are they doing? They are saying that the new Mass is good. Bishop Thomas Aquinas, before he could become bishop, when he was still Father Thomas Aquinas, he had to do 3 acts. 3 acts to prove his fidelity. And the first act was, he had to condemn Father Cardozo, because Father Cardozo was criticizing Bishop Williamson's comments on the new Mass. And he had to tell the people, don't go to Father Cardozo's Mass. Secondly, he had to write publicly 2 letters, in which he defended Bishop Williamson's comments on the new Mass as Father Thomas Aquinas. And thirdly, he had to write a letter to Father Pfeiffer and to Father Hugo, myself and Father Hugo. And he had to say, you cannot come to my consecration, and you cannot come either at my consecration or even afterwards to visit. I cut you off. After these 3 acts of fidelity were done, he was consecrated a bishop. But what is the fidelity to? Is that the fidelity to Christ? Is that the fidelity to the gospel? Is that the fidelity that is asked of our ancestors over the last 2,000 years? No. It's a fidelity to a man. A man that is not following the law of God, that is not teaching the truth. And he has chosen to do that. And there we have Bishop Thomas Aquinas, Bishop Four, and Bishop Williamson. We ask for the holy oils. Now our holy oils are running a little bit low. We are asking for the holy oils to anoint the sick. You cannot receive them. You cannot receive them. Cut off. And we get them anyway because there happen to be immoral priests. Immoral priests in the society. Actually, my holy oils this year came from Bishop Fillet. That's where they came from. There's an immoral priest in the society that just don't have one. They're not moral anyway, so what difference does it make? So, but nonetheless, so we will find, God will provide. God will provide. So some priests provided us with the holy oils, and we'll be provided. God will take care of us, and we can always multiply them and keep them going for many years anyway. But nonetheless, not right to do those things and jeopardize souls. And so what are we here for? The Holy Roman Catholic faith. And there must be a battle. There must be trials, says St. James. And the trials, St. Paul says, trials from false brethren, trials from friends, trials from brothers, trials from one's own family. Our Lord Jesus Christ betrayed by his closest friend, the one whom he called friend, Judas, and abandoned by other apostles as well. And so it must be. He said the servant is not greater than the master. Now one thing we can say though about our times, though we must experience somewhat what our ancestors experienced, we will not experience it to the level that they experienced it. Because we are weaker. We are not being sent to the gallows like our ancestors were. We are not being thrown in the streets like our ancestors were. We're just receiving a bad name. We're just getting a little bit of mockery. We just have a little bit of darts thrown at us. And this is a small thing. It's nothing compared to our ancestors. But one thing is true. We must do what our ancestors have done. And they stood boldly for the truth. They condemned boldly the error. And they had confidence in our Lord and our Lady. And yes, we must leave all we possess. When we leave it, it does not mean that we will never eat again. It does not mean we will never sleep again. It doesn't mean we'll never have a house again. But they will be provided by God. As the Blessed Virgin Mary told St. Maximilian Kolbe, when he needed money to do more of a press and so on, she said, I need more help. And she said, you still have money in the account. She said, yes. How can I give you more? Because you still have. Have you ever had dinner? How can I serve you seconds until you finish your plate? And so if you want more help, spend all you have. If you want more things, spend all you have. And that's economic policy of the saints. Economic policy of Maximilian Kolbe. One time my superiors complaining, what are you doing? I said, I'm following the economic policy of Maximilian Kolbe. Do you have a problem with that? No, you know, I mean, no. See you next week. The fact is that the economic policy of St. Maximilian Kolbe works. The way of Christ works. It is our ancestors have done this, we must do the same. And He will provide. But there must be a battle. There must be a trial. There must be a challenge. And we must be ready to pay the price. And also remember, our Lord tells us, you must pay the price. You must give up everything. And as soon as we give it up, okay, here's a little something. Here's a little something. Because He says words, mean words. You must hate your father. You must hate your mother. You must leave everything. You hate your father, hate your mother. Then what happens? St. John Bosco. His mother took care of him until he died. St. Pius X. His sisters stayed with him all the way until the Vatican. His sisters took care of him from the time he was ordained a priest until the time he died as Pope. When he became Pope, they said, there's nuns to take care of the Pope. Tell that to my sisters. You see the picture of his sisters, they were formidable. And there is no nun going to stop the sisters of St. Pius X. We feed him, we take care of him. You've got a problem with that? No. God provides. He has His own way. He tells us to give up everything, but in fact we give up nothing. He tells us to give up our life, but then we live forever. Give up your family. When you give it all up, He'll take care of them. He'll make sure that they get to heaven. And when they're in heaven, we're with Him for all eternity. And so, yes, He said, hate your father, hate your mother. He said, despise your possessions and leave them. He says, stand boldly, be ready to die. And yet, when it is not time to die, our Lord said in the Gospel, which I believe is the time we're headed into, behold, they will say all manner of evil against you. They will hand you over to the courts, and they will chase you, and they will try to put you to death. But amen, I say unto you, they shall not touch a hair of your head. They shall not touch a hair of your head. I believe this is the time we're going into right now. They'll shoot the bullets. They'll get their GPS systems. They'll get their nuclear bombs. And it'll be exactly like trying to kill Mr. Bean, Maxwell Smart, and Inspector Clouseau, all wrapped up in one. Whoever tries that is dangerous for the one that tries it. The fact is that though we are fools, if we are fools for Christ, whatever time they try to blow us up, the bomb won't work. We'll pick it up and say, is this your bomb? It's not working. Let me check. Oh, I guess it works now. Well, the fact is, God is in control of all things. And we must have complete confidence in Him. Complete confidence. But we must endure some trials. They won't be great. We must endure some trials, and then He will bless us and give us the victory. We must stay firm in the faith, and He'll take care of us. In any case, we'll close with that. And God bless you all. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Amen.